Greetings, everyone. My name is CJ Ward, and I'm joined here today by the awesome and intelligent Dana Branham. Dana, please say hello to the people.
Hello, people. Good to see you today, CJ.
Absolutely. Likewise, appreciate you for being on here. I've been, highly anticipating this, and just through the process of trying to find someone to, share this venture with me. It's been a journey, but I've finally found the right person, the perfect person. So appreciate you for joining me.
Awesome. I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for thinking of me to join you on this journey.
No doubt. So likewise. So today, Dana and I will be speaking on the behalf of a podcast called The Conscientious Conversation. Now, a conscientious conversation is termed as a conversation that only requires two or more willing individuals, an open and honest conversation. A conversation with the intent of improving the quality of life for the entire country and not just for select groups of a United Nation. So let us have a seat and discuss. So a little information about me. I'm a youth and community advocate with a counseling and mental health and educational background. I'm a firm believer in the concept of, art is life. So shout out to all the artists and the appreciators of art. So, I just shared a little bit about myself. But Dana, do you mind sharing a little bit about yourself to the people?
I don't mind. I typically am super modest and don't like to talk about myself, but I will just a little bit today. So Dana Branham, I'm a native of Lexington, Kentucky, but now a resident of Charlotte, North Carolina. I work in financial services, was a financial advisor for about 12 years, but been in the industry about 15 or so now. Right now I work at LPL Financial, working on all kinds of different financial related things. But more than that, I am always willing, always hoping to do things that are improving the community. And so this type of conversation is necessary, and then also trying to advocate for the action that's needed behind that, right? Because we can talk all day, but we certainly want to be taking steps based on what we talk about and can agree upon to make our communities, make our lives better going forward. And so obviously being in financial services, that always hits home, right? When it comes to your pockets and how you're spending money, how you're saving money, how you're sharing money, and all of those things. So I'm a strong advocate of anything related to improving our health and wealth that way.
So what is one of the things that you see that, I guess the community can improve on as far as financial knowledge or information?
We have to get to a place where we are willing to share where we are and not be embarrassed by it, not be ashamed by it, not be so private that we don't want to tell people our business, because the only way that someone can help you is if you share the truth about it, right? You don't go to the doctor and then say, oh, nothing's wrong, when really your back is hurting. So you have to take that same approach, because the doctor can't help you otherwise. If you say everything's fine, they're going to send you right back home. The same is true for those who are designed to help you get your financial house in order. You have to tell the truth. So you can't hide money under the mattress and don't say you don't have it. You can't have investments that you don't want to share because you don't want anybody in your business. And you can't share that your bank account is negative and not share that, right? Because they have to know the truth. And it's interesting because I'm an author of a book, and that's the first chapter in the book is Get Real. And it's getting real with yourself, but then also getting real with the people who you are enlisting to help you.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing is, definitely need information.
Yes.
Definitely
need information, but then take action based on the information.
Perfect segue. So, not to offer free consultation services tonight, but
go ahead. I get it all the time.
What are some action steps that, would be good for people to take especially, I would like to say post-pandemic, but we're still kind of in the middle of it. But
it's almost COVID-22 at this point.
Hey, and the days go on, right?
Yes.
So what are some action steps that we can take in the midst of, this current time that would be beneficial to not only ourselves, but, our family members?
I think the first step would be to type out everything that you pay for in a month. And even in a year, I should say, because there are some things that we pay annually that we almost don't even think about till that bill comes. And so you have to think about those things and write them down so they're in your face, right? And then figure out what's needed, what's not, because I can guarantee there's some things that we don't need as a part of our ongoing bills, or just places to cut back, and then go from there. Because if you can, that's part of getting real, right? If you can do that, then, and face what that is, face what those debts are, face where your savings account is, and then come up with goals for each of those going forward. So obviously the goal would be debt freedom, but what's it going to take for you to be debt free? If it's to save more, save your emergency fund, save more for retirement, what's it going to take for you to get that? And then go from there. But you have to face it first. You can't fix what you won't face. I hear that all the time. So that's part of facing it.
Yeah, understood. So for the sake of conversation, where do you see the financial market going?
The stock market?
Stock market, just across the board. I know it's kind of loaded question. It's a loaded question. It is
loaded. So stock market's been on an upswing for a very long time, more than a decade at this point. There have been some corrections along the way, but it's been on an upswing. That's unprecedented. Yes, been on upswings because the stock market has done well for its history. However, the length of time that it has not gone back into recession is way longer than it's ever been before. So my thought is at some point it's going to have to correct itself. But I said that probably 10 years ago too. I probably said that 5 years ago. But at some point it will correct. But that's nothing to panic about. It's normal. Just be prepared and go ahead and prepare your mind and your heart and your soul and all that stuff to take the volatility that comes with that. So I think that's going to happen. One of the things I've been trying to learn myself is crypto and what factor that's going to be in the future of finances, and trying to learn and give people resources for that. Because I think I saw a statistic the other day, somebody was saying that it should be about 10% of your portfolio. I said, that's a lot. Yeah. Seems like a lot. And so I don't know where it should be yet, but I know that's going to be a part of the future of finances. So learning what's going on there I think is important. But then also the basics. So that's new, but also the basics of insurance, the basics of emergency funds, the basics of just saving, and then also basics of investing, especially in employer-sponsored plans and all that stuff. I mean, it can run the gamut. So you can get all that new stuff, but the basics still work too.
So I appreciate the information. Thank you for sharing that. That's real.
I'll send you a bill.
I got you. Trust me, I do. I got you. So I appreciate that. And plus, hey, all the viewers, thank you for joining this conversation, and definitely be appreciative of the information. So a lot of us do this for a living. So, just as you would pay for any type of service, as she just alluded to, this is some free. I would say, just a free game. So just
put you up on game for free today.
Put me on some game for today.
Just a little bit.
So recognize her worth. So at least I had to say that.
Thank you.
But just from, I know you said you came from Kentucky, and you're currently in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So overall, so I have this thing that, like, during 2019, I literally went east and west coast, north, south, been all over the place trying to find out what's my next step. Like, where do I need to go?
Yeah.
And, one thing that like I noticed, the coastal areas, I would say it's coastal areas, then we have the midland or inland. The coast areas from experience, not going to say this is concrete, but just from experience, it's like they're more open to ideas because business is more import and export.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then inland, it's more local, what people know. They really don't have to, stretch out more. So I wouldn't say they're not open to it, but I just say is from experience, it's just been less likely for the embrace of importing. It's just like, hey, either understand this way of business or, just understand this way of business. Did you see that difference coming from Kentucky going to North Carolina?
Not necessarily, but I totally understand what you're saying. And I think part of the root of that is that those coastal areas also have a more diverse population. So it becomes more of a natural thing to see things that are different than what you're used to. So then that's not only people, then that's food, then that becomes imported stuff, right? Or it's goods. It may be what people wear. So then that becomes more mainstream too in those areas. So I think all of that works together to certainly make those more open and more diverse and accepting and all of those things. So yeah, that's an interesting observation of how you saw that, but I certainly would say, yeah, I would say that's true, for sure. So I haven't necessarily seen that so much here, but I haven't looked at it that way either. So I'll have to do some thinking about that. What I do observe here is, and one of the reasons I wanted to relocate, one, obviously Charlotte is a financial hub and another in America, so it made sense. I was not moving to New York City. So this was a better fit for me personally and socially and all those things. But it's also more, it is more diverse in some ways, but then I actually wanted to be around more of my people. So that was a factor in there. And so then by deduction from that, there's more Black business, there's more support for Black business and all of those things, which is what I was certainly seeking as well.
So what is the importance of support? I think you just, the segue could not have come more perfectly. Like,
yeah. And, and here's the thing, I shouldn't say support even. I shouldn't, because that word makes it seem like it's a favor to the people, whereas it's just business. So I should say I wanted to do more business with Black business owners. I wanted the opportunity to do that. And rather than just supporting them, because I don't want it to be a one-off, it's just, this time and not ever come back and all those things. No, I want to be able to know you're going to be here. So that means I need to be a patron and be a customer of yours. So, but I get, okay, but still, if we just do the basics of that supporting, I can't even tell you how much business I've seen go to other people. I have to pause because it just happened recently on the real estate side of my life. Yeah. And I just don't understand. I don't know. And so I said, okay, maybe I just need to do more marketing for myself. Maybe that'll do it. But when in my financial advising business, people got all that free information put up on game every week with my tips, or they would even call sometimes. And then when there was an opportunity to do business with me, they didn't do it. Yeah, I've been burned many times.
So for those that, I'm just saying this, so if you could explain or at least provide some information of how people could have been supportive versus not.
Yeah.
What could have worked, at least in the benefit of just doing business?
Just doing business. So, prime example, I know several people who retired while I was still practicing as an advisor. Several people, close people.
Okay.
And when I say close, like close, family and or friends. And whether they had sought me out before to ask questions or not, some did, some didn't. Commented on posts, commented on, came to webinars and seminars and all that stuff. Yeah, sure. But then when it came time when they were retiring, they didn't roll their funds over with me. They didn't seek me out to develop a financial plan for them. So you can imagine that's kind of like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why would you not do business with me? Or at least give the opportunity. So sometimes it's not even because I'm willing to be in your interview process, right? You got top 3 and I'm willing to be top 3 and then I'm gonna win it, or at least have the opportunity to win it. So I think we got to get to a place where first of all, I can tell you, right, I'm digressing a bit, but I don't even think about going out to dinner anymore without thinking of what Black-owned restaurant I can do first. I just don't even think about it. I can't tell you the last time I've been to Applebee's or Carrabba's or, Chili's or somewhere like that, because now, mind you, I'm in a place where I have the opportunity to do that, but still, I don't even think of them first at all anymore. We've got to get there where we're not even thinking about those other places first. We're thinking about our own people first. And then if we can't get it, then going outside. So that's what I mean by the opportunity. At least let me come to the table. At least let the other people come to the table and win your business. But if we never get to the opportunity to come to the table, we're never gonna get it.
And I hear that I'm seeing the importance of community. Like,
yes,
it takes a village.
That's what all of this is about, right? And we can't have a conscientious conversation without it being based in community, right? Because we can't afford to be about ourselves.
At all.
At all.
So also when I heard you speaking, like the difference between outreach and community engagement. Outreach is just more, a one-time thing. Hey, look, come here, show support, which is good. But then, you go back to what you normally do, your normal mode of business and operation. Yeah. Where community engagement it's going to be a continuous effort, relationship building, et cetera, et cetera. And, something that I also, something that I picked up from what you shared, at least like I said, just from what I picked up, that some of those, when you gave free game, and then when it came time for people to give back, it wasn't that engagement. So you're coming from an engagement standpoint, and sometimes they were coming from an outreach where it was like, I'm gonna just reach out, but then I'm gonna pull back. How are we not going to be able to be strong if we not, continue to hold that bond, right?
Exactly.
So, I appreciate you from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, that's similar to, so I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, proud member.
Right.
And yeah. And so where I met you at that Buy Black event. So that was my brainchild.
Let's say shout out to you and the AKAs of that Buy Black. That was part of the process, part of the journey. So much appreciated. Thank y'all for the support.
No problem. That's what we're here for. So when you speak about outreach versus community engagement, so that's a prime example of that. So that was my brainchild. I was the program chairman for the chapter. when did we start? 2008. And what I wanted to do is provide, so I wasn't thinking outreach at the time, but to your point, it was an outreach opportunity, right? So we're reaching out. We want to provide a venue for Black businesses to get together. We did it during the holiday season. The reason it was called Buy Black Monday before was because we were doing a take on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, called it Buy Black Monday. And we wanted an opportunity for people to come learn about these Black businesses, support them, purchase from them, but then become a customer for the rest of the year. And then we'll see you again next year, right? So it was both of those at the same time. It's being an outreach opportunity, but then also trying to engage the community to be more aware of the businesses and then also be a customer of them going forward. So it's worked in some ways, but then it also, there's still a struggle because we've got to change our mindset behind it and just understand this is ongoing. So that was, almost however many years ago. And it's still going on. I just got an email about it yesterday, even though I'm not even there. So it's still going on and it's going to be smaller scale this year, but it's still an opportunity to do that. And thank goodness they're partnering with Julietta Market, and it's going to be great because most of those businesses are Black owned too. So it'll be good.
Awesome. Definitely, let me know the information, and I'll make sure I submit this with the video and everything. So
will do.
Definitely in support. Definitely in support.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example of the concept. Although you say it began with an outreach, when we got together. And it's continuous. We're doing the engagement. So
right.
This is literally proof that it works. So
it works. It works, right? People got to open their minds to it though, and being willing to give and take.
Give and take.
Can't take all the time.
So, what's the importance of give and take? Like, I think we've really gotten away from the ideology of bartering. So we can understand, hey, look, you have value, I have value, and we can share our services.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see the, I'm an 80s baby, so how do you see like the changes over the years about, I guess, just culture, just society, media, just how sports, we can just go through the gamut. Like, what are some of the changes or some of the differences that you've noticed? I know that's a really broad question, but
it is. But I think it can probably be my word for that, the change we've become way more self-centered. And by nature of what self-centeredness takes you to is selfishness. And so that's why that engagement is not happening. Because I'm only thinking about me. I'm only thinking about my household, or I'm only thinking about my community. And that goes across the board. It's not just us. And so the less selfish we can be, the less self-centered we can be, the better we'll be, for sure.
I completely agree. And I still believe, like, united we stand, divided we fall, for real.
And we're falling.
As soon as I learned of a pandemic approaching, where, people had to be considerate of other people.
It's been the best example, but the worst example of self-centeredness and selfishness that I've ever seen.
I mean, just the year 2020 vision.
The whole year.
What was some 2020 vision moments for you? Like, I know for me, it was, because I know I've been asking you questions. I still want to, provide a little information. So it's, give and take, right? Ahead.
Absolutely.
Conscientious Conversation, right? So, like I said once in a podcast that, you know, giving and shout out to this venue or this platform, Versus, because it gave a lot of us an opportunity to see, you know, some legends, some influential individuals share their catalogs, right? So shout out to them. But at the same time, thinking of, you know, just a little bit going below the surface, we had to come up with the Verses rather than like a collaboration or like legends or something like that.
We made a competition.
We made it competition.
And it could have been collaboration.
So even with that mindset, I think that it stems back, not just current, but it stems back from certain structures that have been put in place. And it's like, you know, there's proof. And I wanted to start with that first because I feel like, you know, I'm a part of that. Like I said, I understood where they were coming from with it, but I'm just thinking about the concept. And I'm still waiting for it. This is just a personal thing. I can't wait for them to do a Roberta Flack. So Roberta Flack needs to
That's who you're waiting for.
Hey,
who's gonna go up with Roberta?
Anybody. I would just, because I think she's one of the people that doesn't need her just due.
You know who could do what would be beautiful? So it's interesting you brought up Versus. I've watched maybe 2 of them.
Okay.
And because the first set of them weren't live and I didn't understand. I said, I can go watch the videos. I can listen to the music myself. Like I really wanted them to perform because I love live music, but I get it, whatever. So I've only watched a couple, but I would love to see, if you say Roberta Flack, wouldn't it be awesome if, yes, it's Versus, but it's really kind of a love fest like Patti LaBelle and them did, or like Jill Scott and Erykah Badu did, and put her with Layla Hathaway. How about that line?
I don't think I'd be able to take it.
You'd fall out. Because we'd all fall out. We wouldn't be able to take it at all.
Hey, let's try to get that to happen. You know, hopefully this, you know, reaches enough people and enough people join this conversation. All you
gotta do is tag them. They'll get it. Yeah. Somebody will get it.
So, like, you just mentioned something, just live music. Like, how have you missed live music since the pandemic?
I'm at a serious deficit. I think 22 is going to be concert season for me. I already have on my schedule Usher in Vegas. New Edition, which that comes with everybody in New Edition.
Absolutely.
Because all of them are artists just themselves. That's a whole half a day of your life right there. But they're on the list. I have got to see it. Layla's on the list. I'm looking for Joe Thomas. Does anybody know where Joe is right now? Because I need to see him. Hey. And Fantasia, I'm going to go to her house if she don't stop playing with me. For real. Because she's down the street now. I'm going to find her and go to her house. But yes, I'm missing live music for sure.
Hey, shout out to all those artists that you shared, especially to Joe. I don't think he gets his just due. He does not get his just due, man. Hey,
I saw him a few years ago, and down in your neck of the woods. I had to go to down to Fort Thomas?
Fort Campbell.
Fort Campbell. I'm sorry, Fort Campbell. Fort Thomas is northern. He was with Fantasia. He was the surprise guest. I said, well, the Lord loves me because he made Joe the surprise guest. That was the best concert I've been to.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Concert. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been missing concerts. I didn't know until I didn't know.
You didn't know you were gonna miss them so much?
I didn't know until I didn't know. So
yeah.
But yeah. So hopefully we can get back to a norm sometime soon.
Let us pray.
At least safely.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah. So like, what do you see? I guess the U.S. going as far as like and I'm gonna bring this up: vaccinations, not vaccinations, or anti-vax. Where do you see that going in terms of, like, us finally getting to a healthier environment or existence?
Yeah, I think we're getting there. Regarding the COVID stuff, I'm seeing promising things as far as the numbers are concerned here. I don't know about everywhere else, but I think we're getting to that quote unquote herd immunity. It's just super duper slow, way slower than it needed to be. I can't even talk about those people, but
Yeah, I got you.
bless their hearts. What I can tell you is I got my booster last week, and here's the thing about that. I am so not medicine, no shots, no nothing ever.
Facts.
I figure I can take some apple cider vinegar, lemon, and honey, and that's probably gonna cure almost everything that I got going on.
Hey,
and that's kept me well for years, right? Especially all winter. I'll drink a little bit every day and move on. Well, I had to convince myself. I was like, okay, that's not going to cure this if you get it. So I had to convince myself, but I did a whole lot of real research, looking at what the scientists were saying, not people, and kind of looking at studies and all those things. And so I got the vaccine back in April, but I got Johnson & Johnson. And so I was able to go get my booster last week because it had been obviously more than 2 months since I got it. And I feel much better now about having it. I'm not excited if it's going to be like the flu shot, and because I have not ever gotten the flu shot. So I'm not going to be excited if I have to do that every year. But I guess if I have to, I will. It's things change and you have to change with it. So my whole idea of I want to be natural and do all that stuff, well, that kind of goes out the window when something comes like this. And I'm trying to be here. So I got to do what I got to do. And look out for, if I want to see my mother, I have to get immunized, right? I didn't see my mom from February of 20. Man. I saw her, thank goodness. I went to Kentucky for her birthday, and I saw her mid-February and did not see her in person again until October.
Hey,
that ain't cool.
Shout out
and she wasn't happy. But nobody was, and it's beyond my control, but it just wasn't safe because we didn't know enough. But Dr. Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. Man, so there's no reason to keep hanging on to old stuff when you know better than that now.
Man, that's real. Shout out to, just thinking about that, during that time we weren't able to see a lot of loved ones. So, shout out to, everybody that's still here, right. Those that we can still call, we can still call.
We can still call.
Yeah.
That their name has not been called up on the other list. Listen, we just lost on I believe it was the eldest person in my home church today. And I believe he was 98. I'm not really sure. I know he's above 95. And that's a life. That's a life. He was in World War I.
Wow.
Okay. And my mom told me about it, and she said, it's going to be so different going back to church when we get in person. So many people are not going to be there.
Right.
I say, right. Yeah. And you don't even want to think about it. Right. But yeah, it's sad. Whether to COVID or anything else, I mean, that's just going to be different. That's 2 whole years we lost people. And you didn't see them. So it wasn't even like, hey, I just saw them last week. No, you haven't seen them. So it makes it really different. So, yeah. Yeah. So if we still here, that's a blessing.
Absolutely. Just even the sake of that, I definitely say, you know, a moment of silence for all those that are no longer here. Just a moment of silence for them. All right, shout out.
Yeah.
So how has it been, like, being able to see people again and just being around them? Like, how are you with that?
I'm still nervous.
I got you.
Are you nervous about it?
I am, but at the same time, like, I'm careful. I would just say that.
I'm definitely careful.
Yeah.
I haven't been in large crowds. I take that back. I was in one large crowd recently. And I was in that crowd for maybe 45 minutes. And then I said, I gotta go. It was a Taste of Charlotte event. It was at a ball field. In my mind, I envisioned how it should be set up. This is the first time they changed. It used to be on the street where it's, you know, more mobile and you didn't have to be as close, even before COVID. For whatever reason, they decided to have it in this ballpark, but they had it all up in the stands rather than on the field. So I already was when I got there and saw that, I was already tense about it. And I said, well, I'm going to have to pass too many people. Like, I mean, it's 10,000 people at this thing. It was too close for comfort. So I didn't stay long at all. So I haven't been, that's the largest crowd I've been in. I have flown this year.
Okay.
And that was okay. Hopefully that comes back soon. But I just was supposed to go to a costume party Sunday. And the whole Sunday morning, the host says, hey, y'all, just found out that the event I went to yesterday was only 7 or 8 people he went to. That night before, somebody tested positive. So we had to cancel the party. And so that's what keeps me on my toes about it, because it can be those 10,000 and nothing happened. It could have been those 7 or 8. And then if he was a carrier, he could have infected those of us who were going to be at his house. So we still got to be cautious about what we're doing, because we don't know. I don't know. I question, why was that person at the party anyway? Because they tell you when you go get tested, quarantine until you know whether you're negative or not. So I don't even know why they were at the party, but I'm glad he told us, and I'm glad they shared the information so I didn't get even possibly exposed, because I don't have time for that.
That's what I don't understand. Like, you know, I travel around, but every time I travel, it's definitely across state lines. You know, I always get tested. And just, you know, when I come back or whatever.
Really?
Yeah. I'm getting used to that feeling up there. You know what I mean? So, and
the little tickle is not as ticklish anymore.
And that's even, you know, with or without the vax. Like, and I'm saying that just to say that, because although, you know, you may have a vaccination, you can still catch it. So people need to know that. So yeah.
Yes, they need to know it and act accordingly, because they've been telling us that. I mean, since the vaccine came out. So I don't know how anybody would have missed that was still a possibility, unless they just wanted to miss it. But yeah, you definitely can get it, and you still do not know how it's going to affect you or somebody else that you infect. So that's why we have to still keep our sensitivity to it heightened, because we don't know.
So people, be considerate toward others. You know, just be considerate. It don't take a lot. It don't take a lot at all.
Put the mask on. Put the mask on and stay 6 feet away. I mean, those rules still apply. This person rolled up a little too close to me in the grocery store the other day. Like, hey. Back that basket up, please.
Right.
And she was looking at me crazy. I was thinking, you don't want to do that. Yeah. That's not what you want.
Hey, how did you feel about the grocery stores when it, like, the pandemic first happened, where people were like fighting over toilet paper? What was else? I know it's definitely toilet paper.
Embarrassing.
water. Was it water?
Yeah, sanitizer,
Sanitizer.
bleach. Well, listen, I come from the school of Alberta K. Branham and always prepared, and I was a Girl Scout. So thank goodness I didn't have to go and fight anybody for that stuff because I had had it, and then I was able to wait it out until it kind of died down. But people just, Americans, let me say that because it's not even people everywhere, it's us.
This is true.
And that goes back to our self-centeredness and selfishness that we already talked about. Yeah, they embarrass me, those types of people.
I think you brought up a great point. There's a difference between being self-sufficient and selfish. You mentioned something about being a Girl Scout.
Yeah.
And being the preparedness. How important is it to be prepared rather than just last minute?
So I've always been told that where preparedness meets opportunity, that's where you can find success. Right? So you should be prepared for the opportunity. I don't know if I've shared with you yet. I got a new job starting in a couple of weeks.
Congrats.
Thank you. I set a goal when I sold my business and came back into corporate America. I said, I'm gonna give myself really 5 years to get to VP level. And when I told people that, they were like, what are you serious? You're coming back in kind of entry level, right? Whereas I should be mid-level, right? But I was kind of started back somewhat entry. And well, so I'm at 3 years in and I'm gonna be AVP level. So it's only one more step. And there's really no reason for it not to be. But that's happening because I am prepared for it. And I sought out the opportunity myself. I took control of that myself. So that's not, oh, Dana's so great. That's saying, if you want to find any type of success, you got to be ready for it when it comes. Because I'll tell you why. So I actually didn't even interview for the job I got. Just how good God is. I interviewed for a different role. And then this role, through all kinds of other things that happened, I knew it was open, but I thought it had been filled. The person I interviewed with wasn't even the person hiring for this role at first, but became the person hiring for the role. It's more perfect for me than the role I even interviewed for. And so when she called, she said, hey, she emailed and said, are you interested in this? Look at this job description and tell me. I was like, yeah. So she said, let's set up some time later today. When she called me, I said, hello. She said, I just want to know, so the job is yours to deny. Are you interested? Do you want it? If not, I'll move on to somebody else, but it's yours if you want it. Got to be prepared. And then the opportunity will come.
Hey, the importance of preparation, even with this, like I told you before, I wanted to do this particularly, like some of this format in 2019, but I had the conversations about starting a podcast probably end of 2017, 2018 beginning. Wow. And it was just, I didn't want to put some stuff together and be like, all right, look, I'm doing something. I at least wanted to make sense. Most of the time right now, I'm like, make it make sense. So has to make sense. So, it with being prepared for this, I'm just using this as an example. When I met you in Lexington, at the time I was doing I was about to start a mental health specialist position. And prior to that, I just finished the counseling program. I had a life-altering event happen with, injuries, and I had to go through the recovery process with my legs. And during the time, I was doing research about rehabilitation, specifically cognitive and behavioral therapies. And, the information that, I was receiving and once I got to, the mental health position, I was, doing certain works. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, but I just know I need to do it. It was something innate. So I kept it with the steps, daily discipline. So it's like after a while, you have the information compiled, and then once I was started to engage with the community, there was a elementary and a middle school locally. Shout out to those individuals that were of support. Still respect, but I took that information and also the research I was doing, professionally, and put it into a dissertation. And also did an audio component, which I'm gonna express the importance of literacy to young, older, regardless. If if you have an issue with literacy or you can't read, don't feel negative about it. Be open. There's people willing to support you and help you. Me being one, but it's definitely an importance of literacy. So I'm gonna express that. But I did an audio component because some of the population that I was serving, they couldn't read, or they had difficulty reading. So I wanted to make it simple and plain. But I was saying, for the preparedness, doing that prepared me for Tulsa. Then Tulsa prepared me for next steps. So
we gotta talk about Tulsa a little bit. What's going on in Tulsa?
I would just say I went out there with the mind frame of, let me just provide to this community. Let me be, a willing participant to be open to a community. Come in as a transplant. Look, I have this, certain skill set. I have this passion. If I can help you out, cool. I've already done research about this, the whole state and that particular city. So I was already looking at it from a program standpoint, a curriculum standpoint of like, okay, from an outside looking in, I could see these certain services being beneficial if, they were available. So finally being able to be a resident and seeing it from, from the front lines, it's like, okay, the research makes sense. At least some of the things I was thinking of going before, I was able to add on to that. So I just say, for the fact that, centennial, 100 years of, from the race massacre. And then, consequently, or I would say ironically, Tulsa being the first city or the first place to, take away the Black Lives Matter paint on the street on Greenwood. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. First. Huh.
So me saying that, I just, there's a lot of conversations that just only need to be had, but there was a guy that I met there. I was talking about having a conversation, and he was like, man, from conversation to contract. And I was like, man, that's a really dope concept, man. And I'm like, that's what needs to happen. So, so support to him. Hopefully, he's still pushing that effort. But, not only just having a conversation, but all right, once we have the conversation, where are we going to go?
Exactly.
Because, action speaks louder than the words. Right.
We'll talk for years. I still have some prospects. I'm not even in the business anymore, but I still have some prospects who were probably my prospects for at least 8 years.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. What are we talking about? Let's go.
Right.
Right? Yeah, I get it. I like that. Conversation to contract.
Simple and plain. That's why I say make it simple.
Right. So, keep it simple.
Keep it simple. So, Yeah. Is there any other things you like to know about Oklahoma? I'm trying to think. I mean, that's a loaded question within itself.
Right. Let me ask this. Did the community receive what you were trying to give?
I think on the onset, I think they recognized what I was trying to do, but then at the same time, you know, coming into a certain place, you know, respect comes first, and you know, respect is give and take.
Yeah.
So, you know, you never know what a person has already had to go through and what they made it through. But it's like when we need to collaborate, like if you're not the captain of the ship shouldn't sink.
True.
So, you know, I just expressed that. But you know, I've been moving around a lot on this journey. So one of the things that I recognize, you know, I won't want to say a judge. I won't say that. You know, I kind of get a feel for a certain place by observing the traffic and observing how the women move.
Really? Tell me about this, sir.
So
how the women moving in Tulsa?
I'll get to that in a second. I'm talking about the traffic first. I got to take some time for that one.
Okay, got it.
But as far as traffic, a lot of places aren't, and this is not Tulsa, so I'm not, you know, attacking anything else. But I say across the board, a lot of places I've gone, a lot of the pathways and intersections, everything is not visitor friendly. It's like you get there and it's like if you're not from there, you're going to take some time to adjust because it's like, all right, a lot of things are built. It's to like, all right, if you're from here, you know this.
Yeah.
If you're not from here, like, all right, you need to really take caution. So I recognize some passive aggressiveness. And, you know, when people are in their vehicle, they pretty much feel like they're free. Like, you know, that's their vehicle. They're behind the wheel. They're literally, you know, driving in their lane or driving out of the lane or whatever they're doing. So that shows me the mentality of the place.
Interesting. Okay.
So then the reason why I say see how the women move is because, you know, women play such an important part just in society, period. For one, you know, nurturing, and plus, like, y'all are able to soak up stuff and, like, you're able to take things that, you know, I would say y'all don't get enough credit for. So I see a reflection of like, all right, so if women are moving like this, I know guys are moving like this because they're a reflection of that dynamic of that particular area.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to handle business. So I would just say my experience there was very interesting. And it was, you know, yeah, I'll just say interesting.
Okay, well, keep it interesting.
I'll put it like this. You know, sometimes I guess I'm too direct. Which this can bring up a whole nother conversation about the dynamic between men and women right now. Like, we're not even going to talk about dating.
Let's not do it today.
It's way too long. So I'm going to put a pin in that and we can continue that conversation later.
Got it.
You know, yeah.
Perfect.
So, yeah. But anyway, you know, one, you know, I know we've gone past time, but at the same time, I really appreciate you. Thank you for you being in a space to, you know, share the space with me.
Yeah.
And, you know, you definitely have an important skill set as far as, you know, financial literacy and, you know, just how that, you know, connects to everything else. So I
Right.
appreciate you, and I'm going to support you. I know you were telling me about your Wednesday videos. Would you like
Yeah.
to share anything with the people about where they can see that?
Sure. So, so I've been doing Wealth Building Wednesday for 8 years, but really over the span of 9. I took a year off. What's the football player's name who just took off for mental health? Praise him for having the courage to do that.
Hey,
Right?
salute, for real. Yeah.
Salute, dude. I mean, for real. And Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka too, and who we got to do that. And so I did that the year that I moved here. But so 8 years though. And so until the pandemic though, it was more written. And people don't really read.
Man, we just talk about literacy. Like,
talk about literacy, but you got to read in order. Right. Lit is word. Okay, let's just baseline that. But but until the pandemic, it was written, and I mean, I would get traction, and people would read it and say, "Oh, that was great advice," and all these things. I so look forward to it. So, however, one day last year, there was so much misinformation going on about the pandemic and the finances around stimulus checks that were being talked about, and all kinds of other stuff there, taxes and unemployment and all of that stuff. And so it was too much for me to write. And I said, I can't write all this. I'm gonna just go live on Facebook and I'm gonna share this information and we'll move on. And I don't remember exactly how many people saw it. However, all I know is my mom called me that next Monday, I think it was, and she said, "Hey, what you thinking about for Wealth Building Wednesday this week?" And I said, "I don't know." She said, "I think people like to see your face. We're in the pandemic and, it's kind of disconnected if you just write it. Maybe you should just do live again." And I was like, "Come on, Mom. I'm not a morning person. It's 9:00 on a Wednesday. I got to get all dressed and, looking decent in order to be on camera." She said, and she saw at the time how many people looked at it, and she told me. I said, "Okay, we'll do it again." Well, that's turned into these lives. So people can catch me on Wednesdays for now at 9 a.m. Live on Facebook, and then I share it to Instagram as well. But it's all public, so you can see it whether you're my friend or not. So you don't necessarily have to send me a friend request to see them. And you can see the history of them going back as well to last April, I believe it was, when we started to do the lives. But they've become a thing, and we'll be transforming soon, but they've become at least my tool to be a part of the community and do my outreach, and then also engage at the same time. So what we were talking about before, and just being sure people have the information that they need in the vernacular that they need it in order to do something about it and about their finances and all of that, because it can be overwhelming. I know people don't know it. I know they weren't taught it because I wasn't either. And I have 2 degrees. The second time I'm saying that today. 2 degrees in finance, and none of it was personal finance. Wow. Not how to do a checkbook, not how to do a budget, not any of that. So if I have the knowledge, right, for corporate finance and not personal finance, and I have those degrees, it makes no sense. Then I know people in liberal arts and engineering stuff didn't get it. So this is just my way to try to help people out and give them the information they need to be a financial success in the future. So thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
No problem. Where can they find you on IG and Facebook or?
So Facebook is just my name, Dana S. Branham. And on IG, it is one Dana Chanel, because there's only one.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. But one Dana Chanel. And so you can see Instagram is probably the easiest way to do, because that's most of what I even post there is those videos.
Okay. So everybody support this woman. She has my support. So keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate you. So just know
thank
that.
you.
No problem. And, just on the, just segue from that, financial literacy is definitely very important. And, something else that's very important is mental health awareness. So just on the sake of that, definitely, be aware of that and, be considerate of those, be compassionate, and just understand, some people deal with a lot. Shout out to military veterans and those that suffer from PTSD. So you never know what people are going through. So just keep that in mind. And for the sake of that, also, my background has been in education, counseling, and mental health. So, definitely have an affinity for the K through 12 population, but also, community as a whole. Since I went to Tulsa, and during that time, I started an LLC, and it's an LLC called the Ward and Wellness Services. Mm-hmm. And this company is dedicated to providing mentorship, individual counseling, and also group counseling, specifically to minority young males, but not exclusively to them. Mm-hmm. I just know it's important to that. So I want to put that out there. So, right now I'm in partnership and also, reaching out to school districts, community organizations, and, other agencies. So just putting it out there as well. You're not alone, and there's a lot of resources out here. You just need to know where to find them sometimes. So, just with that said, definitely continue to support entrepreneurs, continue to support local, continue to support, Black. I'm just go ahead and say that. I think, that's something that's not said too often. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it as many times as I can. A lot of us do these things. We're ones that may be breaking generational things, maybe the first things.
Yes.
So, a lot of us are learning as we go. So, continue to support each other and continue to build the village, really be the village.
Build the village. And give the village some grace, right? Because we're very quick to be critical and say, I'm never going back and doing all this stuff. And I promise you, McDonald's don't get my order right every time.
Man.
But yet I still keep going. So give us some grace. Give us some grace, please. The grace that you want extended to you, give it. And we'll all be better if we do that.
Absolutely. Really treat your neighbor like you would like to be treated.
Golden rule.
Simple and plain, keeping it simple.
Platinum rule even. I'm gonna say that's platinum at this point.
Definitely, real talk. So, I'm not gonna keep you. Like I said, I appreciate you for joining me in this conversation. This is the first of many, and I can't wait to, start bringing guests on and also furthering the conversation. So
we're gonna talk about those women in Tulsa one day.
Hey, I ain't running. But in time. But hey, once again, my name is CJ Ward. I appreciate y'all for joining the conversation today. And I'm with
Dana Branham.
There we go. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate y'all for y'all attention. And we will join together the next conversation.
Next time.
So hope this message reaches you well. I hope it helps you along the way. Be encouraged and make this day, evening, or night a great time. Until next time. Appreciate you.
Next time.
Nothing ever was handed, all about respect, never about ego. Wish I could have retired a long time ago and disappeared way beyond the trees. But my homies kept influencing me, said they needed to hear my lyrics, like my flow, cause they felt my spirit. Plus the people needed to hear it, a conversation with conscientious lyrics.